So I want to sell $10 million this year, okay? And my average price is $10,000 per job. How many jobs do I need to sell? I need to sell 1,000 jobs, right? Okay, now if I do 1,000 jobs, there's other metrics that are going to come off of this. I know this is a really basic one, but it should be the basis of all of your communication. All you guys should know, and across the board. I had somebody say, well, shingles are this much. Okay, right, metal is this much, tile is this much, I get it. New construction is this much. And as you go to growth, you got to know the difference. What is the average closing percentage of leads? This is the ultimate batting average. Now again, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, yeah, we track this, but I guess I would go a deeper level. What is the average for your employees? So again, somebody throw me a number. What's the average at your place?
35.
35? Okay. Average closing percentage. You get 10 leads, how many of them are you guys going to sell?
10.
right, I love it. They're selling 100% over there. That's all. Well, no, and you know what? I know you're being funny, but that's a perfect example of like a KPI that's like, oh, well, we'll never do it, so they'll never, right? So
50%?
50%? Okay. Between 3 and 4. So industry standards usually say the good mark of a salesperson is about 30% in the construction industry. Now, here's the better question though. What's the percentage of closing on leads that are coming in from Google? Right? Well, okay, so then what's the average percentage of leads that are coming that you're selling from referrals? Right? 90%? Okay. 80%, 90%, you're hearing big numbers? Okay, well, where I want to focus my attention at, right? What's the average closing percentage of the lead that you put online that just, you know, it has some teaser in it? They're very, very low. We start getting very, very low on percentages. But we have to know this, guys. We have to know on insurance, the way that we do this program, the way Reeva teaches you to do the insurance program sells, you'll sell 90, 95% if you do that job right. It's pretty sexy at that point, right? But this is the ultimate thing, and we have to know. When you get to a salesperson and they're saying, I want to grow, I just want to do better, it's like 30% your batting average. You're hitting 450, all right, we're on the right track. Does that make sense? I mean, kind of basic, but it makes sense, right? How many squares can each of your crews produce per day? All right, now, I think we kind of intrinsically know this. What I'm going to ask you to do is actually do some statistics on this. My managers, a lot of times, will say, what am I supposed to do now that I'm not doing stuff all day? I'm not just like installing, or I'm not just doing, what am I supposed to be doing? Well, you need to have some metrics to find out how you're actually doing as a company. What can your average crew do per day? I use some examples here, but ultimately, in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you my crews can do about 35 to 40 squares a day, okay? That's about the number we can do.
How many crews you got?
What's that?
How many crews you got? 2?
Well, I've got 11 crews running every single day.
How many people are on that?
And we got crews of different sizes, but the main crews usually have 6 to 8 people. You got like 2 to 3 really good nailers, and then the rest of them are there for support on the tear-off. But that's 35 to 40 squares a day. Now, why is that important to me? And why should you be tracking that metric? And you do need to be tracking that metric. Number one, it's going to tell you about your timing. It's going to tell you about how many squares you need to produce. It's going to tell you about how many squares you need to be selling. Like, you talk a lot about this balance, and I heard some things about how do I find subcontractors? How do I keep from being, you know, taken advantage of by my subs? Well, let's start with having some metrics that we expect from them. Okay, including qualitative, and let's have some competition for them. Hey, if I got one crew that can produce 40 squares of perfect jobs a day, and my other one's doing 20 squares and they're getting messed up all over the place, which one do I want to get more jobs to? All right, and is it even possible or not? And if it's possible, how do I train them to be like that? And the point I'm making with KPIs is, you know, a lot of this, when we get to the end of it, my goal is for you guys to go, oh, well, that's so basic, Rob. Everybody knows that. That's actually my goal of this, because I want you to do it so much that it's like second nature. Questions? If anybody's got questions, just throw them out, because I think the questions are where you'll learn. So in my mind, I'm going to use an example. If I got 2 crews, yeah.
So I deal with this a lot in my business. I didn't kind of get into the roofing industry as a roofer, right?
Yeah.
And my business partner is a roofer, and so I didn't come into the industry with that. And so one big point of contention I have is that everybody says, oh, Adam, you got a computer where your brain should be, like, you don't understand, every roof's different, every job's a snowflake, and I have to deal with that, like, I'm not allowed to expect to be able to get a number like that, and the number varies so much, you know, it's 8, 12, cut up to shit,
Sure,
it's nothing,
sure.
and then, you know, this, the weather, the wind, the rain, there's, so-and-so was sick that day, so-and-so was drinking last night, it's a Monday, it's a Friday, it's a Wednesday, someone's finger hurt, like there's never an average number, and so this thing drives me absolutely nuts.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I appreciate the concept, and this is why, did anybody take statistics in college or high school or anything? You talk about sample sizes of statistics, right? You know, like, and I'm going to use a lot of sports analogies because I'm going to tell you, the greatest baseball players sometimes end up getting into 0 for 20 slumps. Doesn't mean they're a terrible baseball player. Sometimes you're going to play against a bunch of pitchers who you may face 3 Cy Young Award winners in a row, and you know what, I only got 1 hit in that. Okay, doesn't mean you're crappy. This is meant to be a statistical analysis over a big enough period. You can't pick any 2 jobs and go, well, how come it took you 3 days to do this 30 square job? Well, of course, it's a 12 pitch, 3 stories in the air, etc. We know this, but given a big enough sample size, you should be able to give some good basic analysis. Hey, if I do 1,000 jobs and they're about 38 squares per job, and they take about a day a piece to do, some take 2, some take a half day. The point is not to come in and be like, ah, man, you guys took 2 days to do this job. But if you get to a period where they've done 50 jobs in a row and they're all taking a lot longer, you can know what's right and what's wrong. You can only come up with excuses for so long. Within that 38, the point I'm trying to make is maybe most of the jobs are 30 squares a day, but they just bang out a couple of hundreds or a couple of 70s, and it changes the number. But given a big enough sample size, it's accurate. I'm going to tell you, I do it over a course of a year. That's why I know it's accurate, you know. And here's the bigger point. You got to make your planning accordingly, and we have to change these sometimes. Look, sometimes the rules are going to change, you know.
Yeah, it feels like the.
What I run into is it feels like just generally the bigger we get, the worse we perform, right? Because the further ownership gets from it. And so then we have to really like change our expectations quite a bit to the low side. And you know, then you start getting into this thing of like, youth doesn't want to work anymore, nobody knows how to work, blah, blah, blah. Or like the subs don't know how to hire, or the foremen don't know how to manage, whether you're in-house or subs. And we've done it both ways. And production is I always say, if you got a problem in the roofing business, I can help, except for when it comes to getting the work done, I don't know. That's like the hardest thing for me. Is to try and communicate with the roofing side of it. So I respect anybody who can say 30 squares a day and feel comfortable with it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, because here's the thing, and I know exactly what you're dealing with, because it's the problem of all businesses. We're talking about scalability. We're talking about you guys are execs. And you know, when I first started as a general manager at Monarch and we were having trouble collecting that final payment, I remember walking into a room with all my staff there, and I said, why is this so complicated? You sell a job, you collect a deposit, you deliver the job, you install it, you collect the final payment, you sell another job, you collect the deposit, you do the install, you collect the payment. Why did this get so hard? You know? Why did it get so hard? Well, here's why, because we have multiple moving parts, and we're making positions one thing style, and when you make that little transition, you lose a little bit of care each time. What I'm going to tell you is the amount of care that you put in as an owner goes down, so your processes have to go up. Your management has to go up. Martin can be the greatest guy in the world and sell everything. Everybody can't sell like him. Why not? Well, do you just accept that everybody can't sell as good as Martin, or you try to figure out what he's doing?